Arigato.
What you gonna get, Steph?
Everything.
Oh man, he's Ninja Will added it too.
All right, guys, I've got a favor to ask you. As you know, we live off the subscriber count. The more subscribers we get means that we have more of a reason to make these videos and to go over all of the country to test products. And right now, only 12.2% of you guys that have watched our videos have actually subscribed to our channel. And we'd really like to see that number increase quite a bit. If you could please do us a favor of just doing the simple act of hitting that subscribe button, it would mean a ton to us and it will allow us to make more content like this. So if you like what you're seeing, please remember to hit that subscriber button. We're only at 12.2% out of all the views. That number should be much higher. Could really use your help. Thank you so much. So this is actually footage from our first time in Japan. And it was kind of a big deal for us because a lot of the people on the team, they've never even left the country before. So for many of the guys on the team, it was like, we were getting passports for the first time, learning how to pack and travel internationally. So the fact that, for some of us going internationally and the very first time we're going to Tokyo Auto Salon, going to the Watanabe factory, seeing CBY. It was kind of a trip and just really like overwhelming in general. Because, at this point, like I haven't even really traveled with a lot of my coworkers. And so actually going to a foreign country like Japan for the first time, sharing a hostel room, all the other stuff was just, the whole experience just like pretty mind blowing. When we went out there for the first time, I knew that we wanted to go and try to establish some relationships with some of these companies in Japan. I had some interest in us selling and stocking Japanese goods like on the Battlegarage website. And so we just wanted to go out and just touch base and just see what, doing business in Japan was like. It was pretty interesting, I'll say, because you just don't think the business is still done in that way. Like, for example, like when I was looking up the websites for these companies just to try to figure out like how we'd go and visit them, a lot of times they would have fax numbers on the actual website. And I just thought the websites were old. But it turns out they were still doing business using fax machines. So just going out to the Watanabe factory was a little bit of a trip. Like distance-wise. We were based in Tokyo, and we didn't have a car at the time. We did work with a local named Shota that was able to actually drive us around and help us to do some introductions and some of the conversations. So we piled in this van and we rode out to Yokohama, and then we had an appointment set up with the owner of Watanabe. This is actually thanks to Oda-san at CBY. He helped us to contact them and let us know that we'd like to go, because at that point, I've been a fan of Oda-san at CBY for some time. Talked a little bit over Messenger and other stuff like that. But I had zero relationships with Watanabe at all. So Oda-san really helped by reaching out, letting him know like, hey, these people would like to come. And I didn't realize this at the time because by the time this video airs, you guys will many of you have probably already seen the Larry Chen video. We filmed this probably a year or two before that. And at the time, I didn't realize that Watanabe was so secretive. And like to this day, I haven't seen very much content at the actual Watanabe factory. So I didn't realize that going there, like obviously I'm honored to go to Watanabe, because it's such a well-known company with so much history and pedigree. I didn't realize that they just didn't really have guests over that often. Really thankful to Oda-san for helping us to kind of make those connections and let him know that we want to come through. And and then we drove over there in a van and got to check it out. When I was growing up working on cars, like in the 2000s, there wasn't as much like JDM parts coming in, at least not in the Bay Area. Like in SoCal, I think they had a little bit more channels to kind of get the stuff. So you like generally, if we wanted to get cool JDM wheels, when I was messing with my Corollas in like the 2000s, a lot of times we'd be on Club 4G looking for wheels for sale in SoCal area, and then either going down there to pick it up myself or having them shipped. But Watanabe is one of those brands that was kind of like hard to access because it was literally like not, they weren't being like exported here. And it's kind of funny because I've also kind of known Watanabe as being like the Panasport replica, but nowadays to me they mean so much more than that. Like it's true that some of these companies like Watanabe and also Hayashi had copied European wheel designs. Like for example, Watanabes are pretty much clones of the original Panasports, which were used on British cars and Italian cars like in the 60s and 70s. And then the Hayashi wheels are actually copies of Italian wheels like Chromodoras. From that perspective, you kind of think, oh yeah, it's a knockoff. But then since time has elapsed and like you realize that these companies have taken those wheels as like a template, but kind of put their own spin and made their own, kind of turned it into their own culture. So what I mean by that is like the Watanabe wheels, like you never saw Panasports that wide, or if you did, they were like 3-piece or like pretty rare. But now Watanabe's they not now, but like Watanabe has been making 8-spoke wheels that are in super wide sizes for a really long time with super low offset. So they took that general pattern and just made it into something completely different. So I think being able to see like how that has kind of morphed and turned into its own thing is just super cool to see and kind of experience. When we were there, obviously really overwhelming. We did meet Watanabe Jr., who is the current CEO and the person that's running and really kind of bringing the brand back into the limelight. He took over for Watanabe Sr., who was the original person that started the company. And Watanabe Sr. essentially was he was an enthusiast making race cars. So they were making like open wheel race cars in the 60s, basically just fabricate race cars for clients. And eventually, I think over the course of time, the race car business kind of dwindled down, and then they started producing wheels probably for customers that were like, that thought that the wheels they made were really cool and they wanted to order more. So they found that to be the more lucrative business. Eventually, Watanabe Sr. took a step back, and then Watanabe Jr. came in. And the funny thing is, later on, I ended up actually being able to hang out with Watanabe Jr. And he was saying that he wasn't really into the business at first. He wasn't really into cars. In fact, he really loved surfing. So that's one of the reasons why on the Watanabe website you can literally buy like a Watanabe wetsuit and like a Watanabe surfboard, which I think is super cool. I kind of wish I surfed so I could have a Watanabe surfboard. While getting to know him, here in the States, I realized that he's really he's a hardcore Corolla dude for sure. But at the time at the factory, I actually didn't. This was my first time meeting him. It's very like kind of surface level like meet and greet. I think we offered him some cigarettes because we knew they smoked, and that was well received. Never a bad idea to give Japanese people cigarettes. I run a small business, and frankly, Watanabe's business looks bigger than ours for sure. And however, like for us, we try our best to have like a growth mindset. So that means like adopting to technology, barcode scanning, using APIs and like programming, doing what we can to try to like scale things out and grow as fast as we can. What was really interesting to me was just their commitment to like the history and the pedigree and tradition. Like they had been doing things the same way for so long, which is just totally at odds with like how modern business is done. And for me as a business owner, it's just really like, it's really interesting to see that because frankly, I would never have the patience to do things in that way because I'm always trying to progress. If we are able to make more parts and like sell more parts, that means we can offer more things to the world and we can bring on more help to kind of fulfill those orders. And that's just been like part of the growth stage. But I think for Watanabe's business, it's very linear and very like traditional in how they go. And it's just like completely different than like the modern approach to business. It was really cool as soon as we got out of the van and we're just like looking around and just seeing, the actual building was just like in this residential like area, and it was just like, I don't know, it's kind of crazy to think that this was a factory because it looked like there was like small apartments like literally adjacent and next door to the Watanabe headquarters essentially, and they did have some of like the factory like colors on the actual like building. It was really impressive. And we also saw a bunch of just like normal cars on Watanabe's. Like for example, there was like some kind of like passenger like like van. I don't know. I actually don't even know how to describe it because we don't have vans like that. But it's like like a medium-sized van that's meant to carry a whole bunch of people, and it was on Watts. You know, there was like various like small economy cars, all on Watts at the factory. And yeah, as soon as you got out, you're just like, dude, this is super cool. Like these guys are like about it. I've never been to a wheel factory before, but I knew that something was different about this place. So I know a little bit about manufacturing in general. For example, in my old career, I've actually been in the Tesla plant, which is just down the street. I've been in there before they were actually producing Teslas. And like, it was just, you know, huge NUMMI plant, nothing in there, dark lights, clay model of the Tesla off to the side. Not much going on. But then as I went back later, you'd eventually start to see like robots and like bright lights and like, you know, the ideas of efficiency that if you like looked up factory efficiency, like that's kind of what you would see there. When you walk in Watanabe, that is not the feeling that you get. You get in there and like, you know, there's a bunch of like old machines, like lots of green paint. Yeah, there's stacks of wheels and like a lot of senior looking guys, like, you know, in the actual factory, like not stuff that you're used to seeing, right? As we were going through there, like I was just kind of dumbfounded. I'm like, you know, they're introducing us. There's this one guy there. He's worked there for 30 years. He is the dude that drills every single wheel hole into every single Watanabe wheel. So like whenever someone orders some Watanabe wheels, it's not like there's some machine that's just pumping out like these PCDs. Like there's this one guy that takes those castings and he'll put it onto the mill and he'll drill the PCD out individually. He will also make custom backspacing. So because they're so old school, they're willing to take your order, take a Watanabe casting out, and they'll change the backspacing for you on the lathe one wheel at a time with not even like as far as I could tell, there wasn't even like numerical like readouts. It's literally just manual dials and manual processes. So while we're there, that same gentleman that does all the, you know, the bolt patterns, he brought out some samples. I think he's probably done this demo before. He brought out a really small wheel, it was like a little 13-incher, and then they brought like a 15 by 12, you know, deep dish like 8-spoke wheel. They brought that out too, and then they brought like a magnesium version of that. And that was my first time really holding like a large magnesium wheel, and it was like shockingly light for how big it was. Like we were just kind of passing it around the room and just like could not believe how lightweight this thing was. And yeah, as far as the, like materials go, they were making aluminum wheels and then magnesium wheels. And I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but like magnesium is like a very dangerous material to work with. We have a machine shop nearby that has done some like military contracts and stuff, and they were telling me that like you need to have like very special like processes to be machining and working with magnesium, because you can't put a magnesium fire out with water. It actually makes the fire go bigger. And also, if you have some like sparks near magnesium like chips and stuff, they can ignite. So it's like it's actually a pretty dangerous, you know, material. And so it's like wild seeing magnesium wheels like in person, and also just seeing how they're, you know, finding out later how they're like cast and how they're made. But it's also kind of also like interesting how a material and a wheel that's this dangerous to produce is being made with such old school ways. But I think that's the thing, is like after they've been doing this for so many decades, they kind of knew what they could do and what they could not do, to avoid the place going up in, you know, in smoke basically. At the very end of the factory tour, we went upstairs to Watanabe's, you know, actual like office upstairs, and he just showed us some of the old drawings of the Formula cars. It's funny, at that point I didn't realize their history making Formula cars, so that was kind of a surprise, but later on as I learned more about Watanabe, I realized why he was showing me those drawings. It shows how, you know, the pedigree they have from racing, all the way from like designing race cars to making parts for race cars, so it's just the wheels, right? Yeah, and then, you know, he's a really nice guy, very hospitable. At the very end, you know, we gave him a pack of cigarettes. He seemed to enjoy that. Not a pack, but like, you know, a whole case. And then he gave some gifts, you know, some parting gifts, like a Watanabe stash and some stickers and stuff like that. And yeah, I just felt like he was very hospitable and very kind, and it was a really positive experience. So it's interesting that trip, you know, we took so long ago. It's interesting that over the like next couple of years, I had some kind of you know, interactions with him, either through Odasan or directly. And eventually culminated with him coming to visit us here in Fremont, which I was totally surprised by. But he was making his rounds and kind of like getting Watanabe more visible to like us in California and like the States, because after his, you know, father retired, like basically his father was running business, and like, you know, he designed all these cool parts and made all these, you know, basically started the factory from the ground up. but he wasn't really like modernizing with times. Like Watanabe still is not modern, but like, you know, we're talking like maybe didn't have a website, like, you know, very basic stuff, right? And so eventually Watanabe Jr. was called in to bring in. He was telling me he was the only, I think he has a couple brothers. He was the only one that was like willing to come in and actually run the factory. And it was kind of like his arms were kind of twisted actually. So he came in and he was like, all right, well, we got this factory, let's make the best of it. And over time, he actually became a pretty hardcore Corolla guy, which I thought was really cool. You know, like imagine you're being asked by your parents to go run the family business you don't really want to, but eventually you start to get really into it. So I thought that was pretty cool. So he, at this point, he kind of stabilized things, made some changes to the website, and was working on distribution. And so he wanted to visit us to see how we could kind of help to spread the Watanabe brand and like allow help people get wheels, stuff like that. And yeah, so he came all the way to our shop. It was pretty cool. Some of my friends came out with their wheels and their Watanabes. My friend Rocky had some Watts on his FD. He brought that out. Ezekiel was repping really hard with his 911 on Watts. Jeffrey came out with his Celica, and he had some really nice Watts on there too. So it was kind of cool. We had a nice presentation for him as he showed up. Some of you guys might know we also run a suspension company called Annex Suspension, and we've made some really kick-ass stuff for 86s, like hands down. And we were kind of showing him the stuff in our demo room, and he was getting like super stoked. Like we came into our lobby, and then he was just geeking out on our 86 coils on display. We showed him like the forged spindles we make and these like CAS-CAM plates we make. He was like geeking out. It was really cool. Like I don't know. I guess to be honest with you, I expected with someone coming from a company with so much heritage and so much legacy, I was kind of expecting Watanabe Jr. to come here and kind of like maybe give like a fake pretense of caring because he's a really well-known person at a company with such history, and I was kind of expecting just kind of be here like, oh hey, this is cool, that's nice to meet you, and like, oh that's nice that you guys sell Corolla parts, very cool, and then leave. But it wasn't that way at all. He came here and he was like really into the stuff that we were doing, and like he could see how passionate we are. He checked out my car. We had some quick release hood hinges. We pulled them off, and he was like really blown away by that, and he was so enthralled with our coilover display that he actually called Otis-san at CBY on the spot, and they had a video call in our conference room, or in our demo room, and they were like he was showing the products to Otis-san, like getting him hyped up, and I was like, I was just blown away. I'm like, I can't believe this guy is caring so much about the stuff that we're doing here, because we're just like this tiny shop in Fremont. It was super cool. So yeah, he came through and he kind of saw what we're about, and at the end he was gracious enough to give us some more swag and stuff. But he started going around the room, signing things. Some of us had some like towels to sign. He signed one of our banners that was on our in our break room. And then me personally, I had a Watanabe jacket that I wear all the time. He signed that, so I've got a Watanabe jacket that Watanabe Jr. has signed. And then the craziest thing was he personally gave me this miniature wheel that is a Forging Arts, their new line, which is actually what I hope to run on my race car. Super light wheels. These are kick-ass, by the way. You guys should order some. But yeah, he personally gave me this wheel. And like, I'm sure some of you guys have seen like Harry Potter, but like when he gave me this wheel, I felt like Dobby receiving the sock. Like I was just like I felt like the master has given me this wheel, and I was just like, I just couldn't handle it. Like I was just like, what the heck? Like this guy, he personally gave me this wheel as a gift, and like I cherish it so much. It's one of my favorite gifts I've received. Yeah. After spending a long time looking at our coilover display here, it's too bad we don't have footage of this, but we went out to dinner and went to, I think it was like Doghouse or something like that. It was just one of the local like diners in the area. And not Doghouse, whatever, it doesn't matter. But I quickly learned that he has no taste for American food, so that was interesting. Like just hardly ate anything, just didn't want anything that was on the menu, which is interesting. But while I was there, we didn't have a translator between us, but we were sitting next to each other, and so we're just using Google Translate to talk back and forth. And he was just a really cool guy. Like he's like this guy is so about 86s. It was amazing. Like he was talking about like his D1 driver. He's talking about his track experience. He loves how light his car is. He was like kind of talking smack about the other people running in the N2 class, and talking about how like Otis-san helped to build him a car that is like lighter than the rest of the field. I think I was just like, I don't know, I was just really taken aback by how hardcore he is about 86s. And it was just like, I don't know, I felt like it wasn't just about Watanabe Jr. coming to visit us. It was like I made another Corolla friend, in Japan who happens to run Watanabe wheels. And yeah, I was just like really, really touched by the whole experience. And it was like, especially the fact that he is into 86s was just like a cherry on the top, because I don't know. Before this point, I thought maybe he was like a 240Z guy. I really didn't know, but you know, no, he's definitely a Corolla dude for sure. So currently on our website, if you guys want to help to support Watanabe Jr. and also us as well, we've brought in a whole bunch of like their goodies. We've got a bunch of hats. We've got these overalls that you might have seen Sun King wear. Really cool. There's even a picture of Mark, our shipper. How do we say this? Doing a very like revealing photo shoot wearing just overalls. It's exactly what it sounds like. And we've got stickers. We also have miniature wheels to sell. You can also order Watanabe wheels through us, of course. So just need to let us know what you're after. We can go get pricing and let you know the lead time. I think the biggest takeaway for all this from just like a product point of view was once I realized how handmade these wheels were, how they're being cast by hand, like they're being finished by hand. There's one guy that can literally custom make your PCD and your back spacing. Like we're talking like one person is doing this, right? With 30 years of experience. It's so rare in today's world to see any kind of manufacturing being done, especially at a price point that's like actually affordable. Like, because like let's say you get some custom jewelry or something. Like in America, you can pay someone that's an artist to do stuff with their hands. It can be done. It's just very expensive. But the fact that these wheels are actually somewhat affordable and they're still being made with like honestly like 1940s, 1960s techniques and stuff is kind of it's really mind blowing. So myself personally, I want to put an order in for some of these old school, like specifically the 8-spoke wheels, the ones that are being cast the old school way, while I still can, because I don't know how much longer that's going to go on for, because there's environmental regulations, there's like worker safety stuff, all this stuff, right? I don't know how much longer that's going to go on for. So I'm definitely going to be closing the loop on that. I'm just trying to figure out what size I want for my car, because I'm doing some flares and stuff, and so it's a little bit I got to figure out what offset I want. But the fact that we can still get wheels made in this way, in this age, in 2025, is pretty wild. You guys should definitely hop on it, get some while you still can. They did come out with the Forging R wheel set, which is super lightweight. It's literally lighter than TE37s. So I will have a set of those for my race car, but I also want some of these handmade 8-spokes. Hopefully I can afford the Magnesium wheels, but at least just some classic 8-spokes, because of all the rich history that I saw in these old ways of production, which simply just don't exist anymore. And I don't know how much longer that's going to be. So I know in the future I'll be able to, show my friends, maybe I have kids someday, show my kids these wheels that were handmade. And I can tell them about old times and how I was able to have these wheels like made to my specs. And yeah, you guys should hop on it. As you guys know, like our channel's like, it's been around for a little bit, but we haven't really been making videos like regularly, and we're kind of picking this up now. I'm still very new to this whole thing. I'm really looking to get your guys' input on like, what do you guys like about the videos that we're putting out right now? What don't you guys like? What other shops do you guys want us to check out next time we're in Japan? What kind of content do you guys want to see? You guys know I'm a little bit engineering focused. Like, are there any technical questions about Corollas you want to see answered, or any products you want to see made? Yeah, just let us know what you like and don't like about these videos, and please just give us your feedback, because it means so much to us. And honestly, any engagement you guys have, whether you like it or don't like it, it really helps our channel grow. So please just take the time, just leave us a note. Yeah, just let us know what you think of these videos.